I'm going to tell you my rationale for this Netflix trade, what made me look at it, why I enter, why I exit. Of course, on Friday, Netflix again, I entered at 9:56, and I got out in the same candle at 9 o'clock. You can look at the time on the Discord or in the Discord. Entered at 9:56 or 8:56, excuse me, which would be this candle, right? So from 8:55 to 9 o'clock, this 5 minute candle, I entered and exit in this same candle. But what made me actually look at it? All right. So first, if I'm looking up here, I don't trade in the first 15. I always tell you guys that I leave it. I want to see where the orb is at. All right. You got the orb high and you got the orb low. Now, I'm looking. What I notice is that this candle right here, it broke through the 100 and the 200 and the orb with a lot of volume. That's a big bullish candle, right? So now that put it on my radar. All right, cool. And of course, you have the pivot in front of it, so of course it can reject, which it did, right? It rejected off and it had a huge reject, right? But in the same candle, it also wicked off, right? It had a huge wick off of this 50 EMA. So it bounced. So not only did it reject, but it came down all the way down to this 50 and it bounced all the way up, right? You see this long wick. So this long wick lets me know that we're pushing upwards, right? And the only thing we have in front of it is this pivot. And there is a 954 and a 961. There is $7 in between this pivot and this pre-market high, which means we have a lot of movement, right? We have a lot of room. I got through all the EMAs. Now, another thing you want to look at too is, remember we always talk about the 9, right? Ride the 9. So if you notice, this 9 is kind of slicing through this 21, and then also it's kind of slicing through the 50. So it's moving its way up, right? So I'm actually going to show the replay to kind of show you what made me enter. So replay, and let's start about right here. So it's going to go a little slow just so that you guys can see it. So in real time, of course, I'm looking at this 9, right, at the 200, right? So it's moving a little slow. Maybe I'm going to speed it up a little bit. All right, so here we go. It broke through. Now you see this 9. In this candle, you see that it's kind of slicing through this 21, right? Let's see, all right? So it's kind of flattening out a little bit, but I'm going to pause it. It's going through the VWAP. So now it only has this 50, right? So here we go. So at this point, I'm like, I may want to get in early, right? Because all it has to do is get through this pivot. So I got an early entry. Usually we want to break and hold. We want to wait till it gets past that resistance. But I wanted to get an early entry. I was pretty confident about it because I see that this 9 is kind of slicing through this 50. It's moving past this VWAP and it's going towards the 50, right? Or it's just 21. It's going towards the 50. And it wicked off of it, right? So it's a huge wick, meaning it's pushing. So I'm going to go ahead. And it's going to move at some point. It'll open up. It's going to open up. There we go. So it just showed the whole candle. But as it's moving up, again, it opened right here. And I got in at 856. So I got in close to around this set. When I saw that it was pushing up, I got in, right? And I was able to get out. So as you guys were telling you, as it's moving, I got out. I see 22%, 32%. I trimmed at 50%. So I trimmed close to the top, right? And then I got out at 9 at the end of this candle when it closed. Again, because this candle shows that this is, so I got it probably like around, it was $953 and it moved all the way up to $959. That's a $6 move, right? So that's how I was able to get 50 and 45% in that time, because even though this candle looks big, we have to do it in relation to the actual stock price. It moved $6. So I got my money and I got out, right? So again, what was my rationale? My rationale, of course, was to get in because I saw that the 9 was slicing through the 21 and 50, and I saw that this was wicking or bounced off of this 50 EMA, right? It bounced, and when it bounced, it broke through the 100, 200, and the orb again. And again, it was pushing upwards, so it made me say that it's going to break through this pivot, which it did. So in that one candle, I was able to get the 45%. And I had all of those different indicators to help me make that decision.